But that's kind of my position. I put them in different
Well, I mean,
camps.
they've jettisoned themselves at that
And they
point,
have, yeah, and they
right?
have, yeah. And
Like, you don't need
Yeah,
to
they'll hit
jettison
money
those
yeah,
one
people.
day.
exactly, right.
Or rather,
I bet money on that.
those people have already been jettisoned by the Democratic Party, depending on how you want to look at it.
I agree with that.
Right?
No, I agree with that. It's almost a self-fulfilling prophecy there. There are some people who are more on the fence who will be a little bit more ambiguous, where it's a kind of tougher case. Like if someone is being ambiguous, and I think Hassan fits.
It's kind of interesting how Pisco is so friendly towards MxVivianWulf, who is a crazy lefty. Okay, she's a self-described anarchist, I think. Something, and the reason why she's like this is because she's so passionate about trans rights. It's crazy. Isn't it interesting how much more nicer Pisco is?
in those camp where he is not willing to full-throatedly endorse when it comes up to the election, and say that the preference should be to vote for Democrat or Republican, and in which case I think that we should be very very skeptical of Hassan until and unless he's willing to do that. He didn't even do that with Kamala, even though he surreptitiously.
You can be skeptical, but
Yeah.
like it kind of seems to me like you're demanding that people have loyalty to a party before you demand that the party appeal to them.
No, I think what I'm suggesting is that people acknowledge at a bare minimum that we have a preference here. So I actually agree with Hassan when he says these parties are just a means to ends, right? People are getting all hot and bothered about that, but I just agree with that. These parties are means to ends, and I care about the outcome for people. So it's not necessarily a party loyalty in and of itself. It's just an acknowledgement that it's preferable to vote for that party. But I understand why people would have criticism of the Democratic Party, and trust me, I do. Most of the country does. Their approval is at
I don't want to go
lows. Yeah.
I don't want to go down the road too far into. Well, you know what? Fuck it. It's fine. Whatever. These debates were had during the Bernie or bust. Shit. But that was like a long ass time ago now. I'm forgetting how long I've been around.
Remember?
This space. Remember. But but that actually kind of illustrates the point of how long can you got to vote for the lesser of two evils? How long can that go on?
Always,
because
I'm always going to be advocating for that.
Well, yeah, but the problem is if you're here in the United Kingdom, right? We're currently seeing a massive sort of breakdown of the two-party system for the longest.
Okay, you guys want to bet money on whether or not MxVivianWulf mentions transgender people? Just a reminder that MxVivianWulf was burned her bridge with Destiny back then. Do you know why? It's because MxVivianWulf was saying, "Oh, I have a list of people who I think is good to take revolutionary action against, and here are all of their doxes. It is actually good to keep all of their doxes around, just in case you want to take action against them, because they're considered to be bad people against the lefties or something." That's how crazy she is. Unhinged. She is actually just unhinged. All right, she is full fucking violent revolution unhinged. That's what I'm talking about, okay? If she's willing to keep a list of doxes to pick out targets and shit, yeah, that is revolutionary doxing fucking unhinged shit, right? So yeah, I mean, it's you shouldn't give oxygen to any of these fucking lefties who do shit like that. It's crazy. I mean, that's just the kind of stuff that Hassan does, right? Hassan's audience.
Time we had Labour, we had Conservatives. Those were the two parties that were likely to be in power. Maybe they'd have to form a coalition government with some other party, but broadly, those two.
I'm shocked with how much lore you know. I've been around for a long time. Okay, then vote for the greater of two. I've just been in the background, and I just haven't participated in any community or whatever. I've just been watching Destiny when I was going about life. Okay, then vote for the greater of two evils, or at least let everyone else vote for the greater of two evils while your this protest vote. Well, I mean, Vivian would find some way to insert transgender genocide somewhere in there too, right? She would argue for a trans genocide, and how we need to have a town full of trans people instead of cis people. I debated her on this, moderated by Stardust.
Parties are going to be the ones in power. You have to vote for, and Labour would say, Labour would argue, well, you don't want the Tories, so you vote Labour, right?
Yeah.
Get the Tories out. And many would argue that Biden/Kamala's campaign in the most recent general election was basically just, we are not Trump,
Oh, I watched
right?
that.
Keep Trump out.
2018.
Yep.
Maybe.
I know they said
Well,
a lot
there's
more,
more,
than
but
that,
yeah.
but that was
2019.
that was what
Yeah,
that was.
2019.
Yeah,
You know, if you're just
Joe
an average
Biden's
person
his initial
in
pitch was
America.
No,
his initial pitch
2018,
was let me finish the job
2018.
and resist Trump. Yes.
Ooh, no, 2019. 2019.
So,
Yeah.
my accent isn't southern, by the way.
Oh, 7
I'm
years,
not
yeah.
from the
You're
UK.
basically asking, but the thing is, I'm not an accelerationist in that
No, 6
respect, and I don't
years?
think that, like
6
the
years, 7
UK,
years,
for
6
example,
years.
here's a situation in which what would be gained in the context of the recent election.
She turned on. Yeah, she was also defending fucking transgender sports shit.
To have
Stupid.
not strategically voted either for Lib Dems or for Labor, where like in what way would it have?
Well, the Lib Dems took a shitload of Tory MPs when Boris Johnson took them out.
So how would the long term at all be benefited if we would, for instance, in the recent election, have allowed conservatives?
I can tell you because I actually straight up said before the election, like, I'm not voting Labour this election. I've voted Labour every fucking election since 2010. 2010 was the first election I ever voted in. I voted for the Lib Dems then because I was relatively I didn't know much about politics, and the Liberal Democrats sounded nice, right? They said some nice things socially, so I was like, fuck it, I'm going to vote for them. And they went into coalition with the Tories, and we got 14 years of
David Cameron and austerity.
But I voted Labour every single fucking election afterwards, right? But what happened in the lead up, and what I'm seeing happen somewhat in the Democratic Party now, what happened in the lead up to the most recent election is that they purged the party of left-wingers, right? Progressives and so on. And now in government, they are, I would call them right-wing. I don't think there's anybody who could reasonably argue that at the very least they are not the Progressive Party that they.
Listening to Vivian makes my blood boil just because the things she says is so fucking retarded. It's so and it looks like she hasn't changed. Like, these are the same exact things that she has advocated back then too, right? Or talked about too. Sorry. It's like she's gonna talk about how the reason why the Democrats lost was because they didn't include pro-Palestinian narratives or the leftists up on stage to talk about that kind of shit. That's what she's gonna say. They weren't pro-transgender enough or something. 100% she's gonna say this. 100% she believes this as well. And I'm gonna tell you, that is the definition of hindsight Andy, okay? Hindsight Andy, okay? Hindsight Andy. That is a definite hindsight Andy fucking thing. Alright? US is not the UK, and our politics are different. Sure, yeah, but like, I'm just saying, like, she's saying, oh, this applies also to the Democratic Party. Well, I don't know how politics goes on in the UK, okay? Personally, I don't pay attention to, a country that is not bigger than Texas. But, the thing is, at the ending of the day, as a good friend would used to say, is, you're doing the hindsight thing. You're somehow your mind somehow can go back in time and predict an alternate timeline in which things go differently, and for sure things are going to go better. Well, guess what? I don't think you have alternate timeline foresight, okay? I don't think you're Doctor Strange. At least Doctor Strange is able to actually perceive timelines like that, but you can't. You don't know how to do that, right? You do not possess the time stone. I'm sorry, you haven't mastered your inner fucking Himalayan mountain chi or some shit, okay? You don't know how to peer into different timelines, so you're just being a hindsight Andy, okay?
Once were, right? They're talking about benefit cuts, they're talking about immigration, they're talking about anti-LGBT stuff. The list goes on, right? They're essentially trying to placate right-wing voters.
Jeremy Corbyn had two elections, at least two elections with Theresa May, where he gained, made a hung parliament, but then a massive loss to Boris Johnson. And so the party changed.
I mean, you say it was a massive loss, but
in the actual outcome,
the party, yeah, sure. And it was a massive loss. No, not only when it was Jeremy Corbyn. Sorry, I've got to not look at your chat. Jeremy Corbyn came around in 2017 or whatever, right? Like, there was another election that I voted for Labour where there was no Corbyn. But Fuck, can you repeat your last point?
Yeah, basically that like
baby dragon plus time wizard equal 1,000 dragon. Thank you, Joey Wheeler. Also, by the way, that is a bullshit move. That is against the rules, and you're just basically cheating in that duel against Kaiba. Or was it Pegasus? I'm pretty sure it was against Pegasus.
like I don't understand how in any of the elections that we're talking about.
Sorry, you go your reference? No. I'm a reference machine. I know everything. Okay?
About withholding your vote for
Only
labor
yep.
would make your situation any better in the short term, midterm, or long term.
So fundamentally, I was against the massive change in the party, right? And the point that I was going to make is that like Jeremy Corbyn still got more votes than Keir Starmer did in the most recent election, right? Keir Starmer's approval rating is now in the absolute tank. The Labour supporters do not like the Labour Party or what they're
sorry
doing.
to bring you back to the question. So my question is like, in what way would your life have been better in any of the general elections we're talking about had you withheld your vote for Labour?
Well, I did in the most recent election, right? I voted Green, but it would be better because I do not want to give.
Okay, yeah, but here's the deal, okay? I mean, you voted Green, but it's more acceptable to vote Green because you guys have a parliamentary government, right? Doesn't the UK have a parliamentary? Can somebody double check me on this? So what you vote is what you get, right? If there are more people with not really, okay, shit, she's retarded then. Okay.
My vote and my support to a party that no longer represents my values and has told people with my values that it's not the party for them and they should leave, right? I don't want to validate this change in tactics from the Labour Party and have them win a massive landslide and then see
the bad parliament,
that change in tactics as something valid to be going forward with, right? I want to punish them for that change in tactics. I want the Labour Party to return to being a progressive party.
So you think if Labour had lost that election, you would have been better off?
In the short term, no. In the long term, yes.
I mean, the alternative was...
She's an accelerationist too. Wow, great surprise, guys. Wow. She is an accelerationist. That's just great, dude. So for the United States, she would argue something along the lines of, well, I wish, Democrats losing, well, short term, no, it would not be good. However, long-term, yes, because it would push us all further down the line to help us realize and awaken class consciousness. Wow.
Rishi Sunak.
Great stuff. Great stuff.
Yeah, and
amazing
Labour
stuff.
are right of Rishi now.
Do you think that's true?
Tell me your privilege without telling me your privilege.
I think they're at least equaling him, probably right of him. The Conservatives would never have done the benefit cuts that they're talking about right now.
So this is the kind of stuff that I can't stand. I'm sorry to say, even though interpersonally we've always been good, but like this is the kind of stuff that does trigger me. Like, and this is where I would distinguish, unfortunately, Viv, and I think you're on the wrong side of the ledger. I would distinguish what you just said to be something like Kyle and Crystal. Well, Crystal used to say this. She changed her mind, and Kyle never said this and said that it's preferable to do Biden. And so what you're talking about, where it would have been preferable for Rishi for the Conservatives to have another 5 years, that's crazy to me.
No, I already said to you, right?
Yeah.
Personally, I think that Labour are to the right. They're certainly to the right of David Cameron, right? And they're somewhat equaling, possibly to the right of arguably Rishi Sunak, right? But they are definitely to the right of David Cameron.
What would you say on Brexit stuff?
Brexit stuff is fucking old news. Nobody.
That's what I mean. So, in what respect are they more to the right?
Brexit stuff is not old news. It basically, dude. Dude. What? No. It affects UK to this day. What? I mean, I don't even know jack shit about UK politics, and I know that's not fucking true. What?
Right of David Cameron.
Well, David Cameron would never have done. Would never have gone on immigration like the Labour Party are currently doing. There was no Theresa May. Theresa May was the person who proposed the changes to the gender recognition.
It's time to oh, there you go. I told you that, guys, that she was going to mention transgender shit. See, I'm always right on this kind of shit, okay? But also, can I just say, all right, we need to bring Margaret Thatcher dead, okay? If it means resuscitating her dead fucking heart, okay, I will bring her back, okay? It will happen. She will crush the IRA again, okay? A glorious, glorious Margaret Thatcher crush the IRA, okay?
Recognition Act for trans people, right? So she was trying to make it easier for people to transition and get a gender
I will
recognition
crush the IRA,
certificate,
actually.
right? The Labour Party completely
The
scrapped
IRA
that,
actually does
going the absolute opposite way, right? On refugees and stuff, they are now talking about deporting people immediately who enter the country, quote unquote, illegally, which basically just means anybody trying to seek asylum, right? You know, all these sorts of things that David Cameron never would have talked about. And you can argue that the political climate in general has shifted left, that's fine, right? But the Labour Party has shifted with it and is attempting to appeal to reform voters.
Listen, I think that Biden and the Democrats in this country have also shifted and accepted the framing of the right on immigration and stuff. Yeah. So, you know, independently, and that's also, by the way, true.
That's why I was making.
Wait, did she just say two sides of the same coin? Oh no, she's brain dead, dude. It's over. What?
The comparison, right? Because there is talk in the Democratic Party about pushing out the left, accepting more reactionary policies regarding trans people, immigration, all these things, right?
So I agree that there's some push on the Democrats to like start to adopt certain Trumpian or right-wing policies on certain social issues. I think on some stuff they're totally stupid to do that, to try to like outflank from the right on immigration. I don't think that, and I don't think people believe it, which is one of the reasons I don't think it lands well. But basically, like,
it's not going to work.
Put the David Cameron comparison aside, and let's just talk like straight up. Rishi Sunak would have been worse on trans rights, worse on immigration, worse on everything than Keir Starmer, correct?
I literally on if you want to talk about trans rights, Labour has only
Why the fuck are we talking about trans rights, especially in the fucking UK? This has nothing to do with anything of this current conversation. I don't even know why we're talking about, like, again, a country the size of like, oh, I guess, you know, at least the UK is bigger than New Jersey. Dude, shut up, okay? It's like the size of Texas, all right? Bro, just like, oh my god. I thought we were talking about US politics, okay? The most powerful fucking country in the world whose election outcomes influences all corners of the world at every single given degree, okay? All right. You know what? You suck. Okay, Vivian? Vivian, you suck, okay? No one cares about trans rights anymore. If you talk about trans rights, you're advocating for fascism, okay? The reason for this is because you are giving the Fox News people what they want, okay? You're giving the Fox News people what they want, and what they want is for you to discuss trans people on purpose because they want you to look bad, okay? That's why, because they know you're unhinged. So they want you to talk about this issue on purpose so that they can win more elections off of transgender issues. Wow, turns out the entire, like, trans topic was a bait and switch. Wow, it's almost as if right now they're not even talking about transgender people anymore other than to make fun of them occasionally, right? It's almost as if, like, the issue they ran on this entire time was used as a prop tool in order to, like, fucking win the fucking election because it's a fucking Russia, like, winning strategy for the Republican Party. It's crazy, isn't it, Vivian? But instead, you're the one that's always, like, fucking carrying water for, you know, Russia or, like, Kremlin talking points and Kremlin topics, okay? So, good job, okay? Anyway.
It's a fucking...
Go back to that kind
of going further and further right, and
nah, okay, there's no escaping this person. This person is, like, currently, like, here. This is Pisco Live right now, okay? So it was, like Vivian was the last person. Was trans stuff really a wedge issue? I don't... What does a wedge issue even mean?